Hi, everybody. How are you? It's Mike. And for those of you that don't know me, that maybe have stumbled across this on YouTube, I just wanted to say welcome. My name is Mike Miller. I am a 45, soon to be 46-year-old male, married. I'm a Christian and have been since age 8, so for quite a while. And, grew up in church, started off in the Baptist church till I was about 8 years old. And then my family moved into a more charismatic Pentecostal type church in the, mid to or early to mid 80s. I've been in church a long time. And, that doesn't make me better than anybody else. Certainly doesn't make me immune from problems. Lord knows, even being a Christian and being in church, I messed up a lot in life. Still mess up. Not perfect at all. But church has always been something that was a core of who I am. It's ingrained in me. It's one of the most important things in my life. And, granted, just like anybody else, there's been times when I have not gone as much as I should. But I would say for the bulk of my life, most Sundays, of course, with the exception of sickness and vacations and things like that most Sundays have been wrapped around church. And for me, church is the place where I go to worship God. Although you can worship God anywhere. You can worship God in a cave. It doesn't have to be a building. The church is not the building. The church is where you are, and where, wherever God is. But I do feel as if it's important to worship with other believers. I think that's biblical. But the church experience for me has always been, a place where I felt free. I felt free to worship God the way I wanted to. I didn't really feel any burdens or restrictions there. And if I did, there's no better place to get rid of those burdens and that heaviness than church, right? That's what the freedom of Christ and salvation, that's what it offers you. But I also love going to church because I have friends there. You can hug your friends, you can love on your friends. It's a great place to just reconnect with fellow believers. Now, fast forward to where we are now in America. COVID-19. It's affected just about every aspect of life. We all have to wear masks. We, have to social distance. At least that's what they tell us, right? And this is not a mass debate. It really isn't. I'm sure there's people all over the board on both sides. Me personally, I only wear a mask where it is absolutely required. Other than that, I don't. And I still have a problem sometimes, to be completely honest with you, wearing a mask most of the time. I really, this is my personal belief. This is Mike speaking. I really don't think it does a whole lot. I think that there is science to prove that. I don't think it helps to keep the virus at bay as much as some people would like for you to believe. So that's all I'll say about that. But I know a lot of churches are requiring, not even making it an option, requiring a mask while you're at church. I can't go there. I don't really like it. Have I done it? Have I complied and worn a mask at church? Yeah. And the whole time I'm there, I can't get past it. To me, that is not what church is. I feel restricted in my worship. I feel definitely somewhat not isolated, but there's that human physical connection where, you're not supposed to hug people. You're supposed to wave from a distance. They call it air hugs or, long distance high fives. They dismiss you out of the auditorium. in zones like you're in elementary school. All of that is very impersonal. It's very cold, and it is not church. It's certainly not the church I grew up in, and frankly, it's not the kind of church I want to be in anymore. If that's what church is now, if that's what going to church is now, it's not that I don't want church. I don't want that kind of environment. And it's really, really, really messing with me. So, here is the bigger issue. I said all that to say, here's the bigger issue for me. I just want the church, big C church, not little c church. So not any individual church. I'm not necessarily picking on or pointing out or calling out any in particular church. I'll leave the name of my church out of it. I don't think that's necessarily important, but I will say, even where I go to church, even my personal church, they are kind of on the side of masks are required, and I'm really struggling with it right now, because I can't go and just enjoy church with that requirement. And what I've been saying all along, since all this came about with churches and how it affects churches, is I think it's, I've heard messages as recent as today about how Christianity is not going to look the same anymore than how it looked compared to how it looked, a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 70 years ago, that this pandemic and where we find ourselves in the end times, Christianity is much different. And I would agree with that statement. I don't think we can walk in our faith the way that we used to and it'd be okay. I think that in these last days, and I truly believe that, just look around, the world's gone mad. I really think that we are in the last of the last days, and that Christ could return at any point. And with that said, I think that it's time for the church to step up and put their money where their mouth is. And that's what I think I take the greatest issue with, is that, the church, sorry, I was getting a text. The church, at least the kind of churches I grew up in, the church says one thing, but a lot of churches are doing another. And for instance, the churches will say, we don't live by fear. We live by faith. We know that God can protect us. We walk in faith. We can't have weak faith. We can't be weak Christians. We have to, take the kingdom and all of that, all of that. But then they say that, but then they're like, oh, well, we're going to require all of our members to wear masks. We're going to, not assemble because, we don't feel safe. And to me, it's counterproductive for you to say that, but then say, oh, we're people of faith. We have faith in God. He's going to protect us. He's, this virus, he's not bigger. The virus isn't bigger than him. What do you believe? You can't have it both ways. And that's what I'm growing tired of. Hey, if you want to wear a mask, if wearing a mask makes you feel better and you feel protected, and for that matter, if you feel as if you're protecting other people by wearing a mask, that's on you. And if you feel like social distancing is helping the whole cause, that's fine. But I feel as if it should be a personal choice. And from a church, I think they should leave it as a personal choice. If that particular member wants to wear a mask and that's what makes them feel safe and whatever, then they have the option, they have the right. That's their personal choice to wear a mask. But don't make the whole congregation have to mask up if that's not what they're feeling, right? If that's not where they are. Because I think in doing so, you give the wrong message. Are we going to comply because that's what the CDC says to do and that's what everybody else says to do? Are we going to comply, or are we going to live by the word, practice what we preach, and be the church? What's your opinion?